They say every killer leaves behind a trace, a clue, a pattern. But what if the killer wants you to find them? What if the hunt itself is part of their game? In the late 1960s in California, people were embracing the freedom of music, love, and change. But beneath that wave of happiness, a dark shadow was rising. A man with no name, no face, and no clear motive began a string of brutal killings, crimes that would soon terrify the entire state. He played games with the police, teased the newspapers, and disappeared just as suddenly as he came. He called himself the Zodiac, and the nightmare had just begun. It was December 20th, 1968, just before Christmas. On a cold, quiet night in Benicia, California, two high school students, 16-year-old Betty Lou Jensen and 17-year-old David Faraday, were on a date. They parked on a lonely stretch of Lake Herman Road, a known lover's lane. Around 11 p.m., an unknown person approached their car. No one saw what happened next, but a short time later, both were found shot dead. Betty Lou had been shot 5 times in the back while trying to run. David was found slumped against the car, shot once in the head at close range. Investigators recovered 10.22 caliber shell casings, photographed bullet patterns, ran weapon and fingerprint tests, and interviewed neighbors, refinery workers, friends, and family. But none of the evidence matched a known person or gun. The case had no leads, no known motive, and no suspects. Police were baffled. Almost 7 months later, on July 4th, 1969, another couple was attacked. Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau were sitting in a parked car at Blue Rock Springs Park, just a few miles from the first crime scene. A man approached their car with a flashlight. Thinking it was a police officer, they rolled down the window, but instead, he fired multiple shots. Shortly after the shooting, a local resident heard the gunshots and called for help. Police and an ambulance arrived at the scene within minutes. Police found 9mm shell casings, bullet fragments, shattered glass, and blood inside the car, along with the wounded survivors. Darlene was still alive, but unconscious. Michael was wounded and able to speak. Both were rushed to the hospital, where Darlene sadly died. Michael survived. Michael Mageau, though seriously wounded, gave officers a detailed description. He said the shooter was a heavy-set white man with short brown hair, around 5 feet 8 or 9 inches tall, wearing dark clothes and using a flashlight to blind them before opening fire. About 40 minutes after the shooting, a chilling call came into the Vallejo Police Department. A calm male voice said, "I want to report a double murder. If you will go 1 mile east, you will find the kids in a brown car. They were shot with a 9mm Luger. I also killed those kids last year. Goodbye." He also gave specific details that only the killer would know. Police traced the call to a payphone and immediately rushed to the booth, but found no one there. They searched for fingerprints, but didn't recover any usable prints. That direct confession immediately linked both crimes in the eyes of investigators. From that point forward, police believed they were dealing with the same suspect. Despite all efforts, no suspect was ever confirmed. Exactly 1 week later, on August 1st, 1969, 3 Bay Area newspapers, the Vallejo Times-Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the San Francisco Examiner, received identical letters in an envelope postmarked July 7th, 1969. Each envelope had a handwritten letter where the writer claimed responsibility for the murders of David Faraday, Betty Lou Jensen, and Darlene Ferrin. At the bottom of each letter, the writer placed a strange symbol, a circle with a cross through it. But that wasn't all. Each letter also contained a section of a strange, coded message, what we now call the 408 cipher. The writer had divided this cipher into 3 parts and sent one part to each newspaper. In total, the full message was made up of 408 symbols, made from strange characters and shapes. The writer demanded that all 3 newspapers publish their parts of the cipher on the front page of the next day's paper. If they didn't, he warned he would kill again. The newspapers were shaken. So were the police. To avoid any more bloodshed, all 3 newspapers published the ciphers as the killer demanded. A week later, on August 4th, another letter was sent to the San Francisco Examiner. This time, he began the letter with the words, "This is the Zodiac speaking." It was the first time the name Zodiac was used, and it would soon become infamous. On August 8, 1969, a high school teacher named Donald Hardin and his wife Betty from Salinas, California, cracked the cipher. It didn't reveal the killer's name, but it did give disturbing insight into his mind. It read in part, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest, because man is the most dangerous animal of all." This line chills me. He wasn't just committing murder. He was almost celebrating it, comparing it to a game. And the way he spoke about it, so casually, like it was a thrill or a hobby, shows just how twisted his thinking was. But the Zodiac wasn't done. On September 27, 1969, around 6 p.m., college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were picnicking at Lake Berryessa. A man appeared, wearing a black executioner-style hood and a crosshair symbol on his chest. He had a knife and told them he was an escaped convict. He tied them up with clothesline and then stabbed both of them 10 times. Before leaving, the killer walked to Brian's car and drew a crosshair symbol on the door, writing the dates of all 3 attacks and the location. Vallejo, December 20th, 68. April 7th, 69. September 27th, 69, 6:30 by knife. From the moment officers saw that message, they knew they were dealing with the same person behind the Lake Herman Road and Blue Rock Springs killings. Around 7:40 p.m., a man called Napa Police from a downtown payphone and said, "I want to report a murder." No, a double murder. Then gave the location where Brian and Cecilia had been attacked near Lake Berryessa, and hung up. He didn't share his name, but his calm voice matched the Zodiac's pattern. When police arrived at the phone booth, the receiver was still off the hook and had dried blood on it, but they couldn't find any usable fingerprints. The handwriting on the car matched the previous Zodiac letters. The symbol matched the earlier threats. And now, the weapon had changed, from gun to knife. But the behavior, the control, the phone call, and the need for attention were exactly the same. Cecilia died 2 days later. Brian survived and gave police a detailed account of the attack. But even with Brian's testimony and the message left on the car door, the Zodiac managed to vanish once again. He had carried out another horrifying attack. And still, police had no name, no suspect, and no clear way to stop him. The media coverage exploded.
Zodiac strikes again in the Bay Area.
We have received a coded letter from the
The
killer.
public began to panic.
The police are still without any leads in the case.
But it didn't stop there. After 14 days, on October 11th, 1969, in San Francisco, a cab driver named Paul Stein picked up a passenger in the theater district. The man asked to go to Presidio Heights. When the cab stopped, the man shot Paul in the head. A witness saw the man wipe down the car and take something before walking away. He had taken a piece of Paul's shirt. Based on witnesses' description, the SFPD created a sketch of the suspect. Soon after, they released the composite drawing to the public. Initially, police were looking for a black suspect due to a radio error. Officers even stopped a white man who fit the real description, but let him go as they were searching for a wrong suspect. The murderer had vanished once again, leaving police with no solid leads. A few days later, the San Francisco Chronicle received another letter, this time with a piece of Paul Stine's bloody shirt inside. Looking at all the murders, it was clear. The Zodiac wasn't just killing. He was making a statement. He wanted people to see what he was doing. He targeted random couples, often in quiet places, and then called the police himself, almost as if he wanted credit, without facing the consequences. He sent letters, symbols, and ciphers to the police and media, almost like he was challenging them to catch him. Months passed. Then, on October 27, 1970, a Halloween card arrived at the San Francisco Chronicle, addressed directly to reporter Paul Avery, the journalist covering the case most closely. The front read, "From your secret pal." Inside were the words, "Peekaboo, you are doomed." In the center, he drew his crosshair symbol and wrote two words, "Paradise" and "slaves," forming a cross. It was the Zodiac's way of saying the game wasn't over. The entire Chronicle staff was terrified. Paul Avery even started carrying a gun for protection. In the months and years that followed, the Zodiac didn't disappear. More letters arrived at newspapers, continuing his disturbing pattern. Some brought new threats. Others contained cryptic ciphers meant to puzzle and taunt investigators. Through it all, the Zodiac claimed responsibility for as many as 37 murders. But only 5 victims were ever officially confirmed. David Faraday, Betty Lou Jensen, Darlene Ferrin, Cecilia Shepard, and Paul Stine. Among the most famous messages he sent was a 340-character cipher sent to the San Francisco Chronicle in November 1969. For decades, it remained untouched. Codebreakers, law enforcement, and amateur sleuths tried again and again, but it held its secrets tightly. Then, in December 2020, more than 50 years after it was sent, a breakthrough finally came. A small international team of codebreakers, working from the United States, Australia, and Belgium managed to crack it. The decoded message read, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber, because it will send me to paradise all the sooner." Even after all that time, the message offered no clues to his identity. No name, no confession. Just more arrogance, more games, and the same eerie sense of control that had haunted investigators for decades. The last confirmed Zodiac letter was sent in 1974, ending with the words, "Me, 37, SFPD, 0. After that, the Zodiac seemed to vanish. From the 1980s to the 2000s, the case was revived many times, with new suspects, DNA tests, and code-breaking efforts. Many suspects were considered over the years. The most well-known was Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester who had a history of violence, and was known to wear Zodiac brand watches. He even told people he wanted to be called Zodiac. But DNA from the envelopes and stamps didn't match him. His fingerprints and handwriting didn't match either. He died in 1992, still denying involvement. There were other suspects, too. School teachers, writers, and men with military backgrounds. But none were ever charged. The Zodiac killer left behind a chilling legacy. 5 confirmed murders, 2 survivors, and over 20 letters, including 4 complex ciphers, only 2 of which have ever been solved. Despite decades of effort from the FBI, local police, and countless amateur investigators, his identity remains a mystery. His case is still open across multiple jurisdictions, a haunting reminder of how a killer vanished without a trace. Books, films, and documentaries continue to explore his story, but the truth remains just out of reach. And perhaps that's exactly how he wanted it. If you found this story as chilling and fascinating as we did, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more real and gripping true crime stories. There's always more to uncover. Thanks for watching.